Factual passages. In this module, you will understand factual passages and answer questions based on them. You must have read newspaper reports. Do you think these reports describe the real events or some cooked-up stories? Newspaper reports generally describe the real details of events that happen every day. Have you read about metamorphosis? That is, the life cycle of a butterfly? The life cycle describes the different stages involved from the laying of egg to the formation of a beautiful butterfly. Such kinds of text, like the newspaper reports or the life cycle of a butterfly, give us facts and information about a real event, person, place, process, or any topic under discussion. Such pieces of text are called factual or non-fictional texts. A factual text is composed of facts and information. It allows the readers to get comprehensive information about the subject under discussion. It gives a brief description about the topic by stating the factual details in the best possible manner. This helps the readers to gather facts, data, or other relevant information from the text. For example, newspapers, magazines, biographies, and scientific journals are all examples of factual texts. Let us now understand the features of non-fiction texts. The images that accompany a non-fiction text relate to real-life people, places, situations, or phenomena. The keywords in a non-fiction text are generally highlighted. Diagrams, if included, are well labeled to make the comprehension easier. Pie charts, graphs, flowcharts, etc. are also sometimes included to provide facts related to numbers, ratio, percentage, process, or hierarchy. Picture captions, subheadings, and glossary may also be included to make the comprehension easier. Non-fictional texts are of different types. They are factual descriptions, which describe places or things using facts; factual recounts, which retell events that have already occurred in the past; information reports that describe and give factual information about people, places, situations, or phenomena; procedures, which give instructions on how to make or do something; procedural recounts that tell how something was made or done in past; explanations that aim to explain how or why things happen. Now that you have understood what factual texts are, let's discuss how to attempt questions based on a factual passage. When you come across a factual comprehension passage in an exam, you need to follow certain instructions to answer the questions asked. Let us understand these instructions through the following sample factual passage. In spite of all the honors that were heaped upon him, Pasteur, as it has been said, remained simple at heart. Perhaps the imagery of his boyhood days, when he drew the familiar scenes of his birthplace, and the longing to be a great artist never wholly left him. In truth, he did become a great artist, though after his 16th year, he abandoned the brush forever. Like every artist of worth, he put his whole soul and energy into his work, and it was huge energy that in the end wore him out. For him, each sufferer was something more than just a case that had to be cured. He looked upon the fight against hydrophobia as a battle, and he was absorbed in his determination to win. The sight of injured children particularly moved him to an indescribable extent. He suffered with his patients, and yet he would not deny himself a share in their suffering. His greatest grief was when sheer physical exhaustion made him give up his active work. But even then, in that pain, he loved to see his former pupils, and it was then that he would reiterate his life's principles. Never cease to work. So well had he kept his precept that he rapidly began to sink from exhaustion. Finally, on September 27, 1895, when someone leaned over his bed to offer him a cup of milk, he said sadly, "I cannot." With a look of perfect resignation and peace, he seemed to have fallen asleep. He never again opened his eyes to the cares and sufferings of the world, which he had done so much to relieve and to conquer. He was within 3 months of his 73rd birthday. Let us now read the questions to be answered. What tells us that Pasteur wanted to become an artist? How did he view those who suffered from diseases? What was his greatest grief? Find the word opposite to float. Now let's learn how to answer these questions. First of all, we need to get the overview of the passage. This can be done by skimming through the passage. While skimming, we read a text quickly without reading everything with the same attention. We generally read the first and the last sentence of the text to gather its main idea and then go through the passage for clue words by noticing the content words. Let's skim through the given passage to get its overview. After skimming, we get an overview that this passage is about the life of Pasteur. It mentions his relationship with his work and patients. It also highlights his struggle with his ailment and how he finally died. Now, for answering the questions based on this passage, we need to scan the passage. Scanning helps us to identify a piece of information or specific facts like name, dates, etc. While scanning, we read the text quickly with specific aims and look for keywords. Look at the first question. What tells us that Pasteur wanted to become an artist? What are the keywords in this question? They are Pasteur, wanted to become, and artist. Let us look for these keywords or their related words in the passage. The words Pasteur and longing to be an artist relate to our keywords. Now, let's read the surrounding text. Pasteur, as it has been said, remained simple at heart. Perhaps the imagery of his boyhood days, when he drew the familiar scenes of his birthplace and the longing to be a great artist, never wholly left him. Does this text give you the answer to the question? Yes. We can rephrase this statement a little to get the answer to the first question. What tells us that Pasteur wanted to become an artist? We know that Pasteur wanted to become an artist by the fact that he never wholly forgot the imagery of his boyhood days when he drew the familiar scenes of his birthplace and the longing to be an artist. Now let's move on to the second question. How did he view those who suffered from diseases? Here the keywords are view, suffered, and diseases. Look for these words in the passage. These words are not directly given in the passage, but we find a related word, sufferer. Now, read the surrounding text to check if it provides relevant information. For him, each sufferer was something more than just a case that had to be cured. This gives us the answer to our question. How did he view those who suffered from diseases? Pasteur did not view those who suffered from diseases just as a case that had to be cured, but something much more than that. The third question is, what was his greatest grief? Can you identify the keywords in this question? They are greatest grief. Are these keywords given in the passage? Yes. Now, we will read the surrounding text. His greatest grief was when sheer physical exhaustion made him give up his active work. This gives us the required answer. What was his greatest grief? His greatest grief was when sheer physical exhaustion made him give up his active work. The last question is, find the word opposite to float. Now here, we are given a word float, and we need to find a word in the passage that is its antonym. For this, we will have to think of some antonyms of float. Drown, sink, go down, settle, go under are the common antonyms of float. Now, can you find any of these words in the passage? Yes, we have the word sink. Let's answer this question now. So the answer to the question is sink. Now can you tell the steps we have followed to comprehend the passage and answer the questions based on it? 1. Skim the passage to understand its overview or main idea. 2. Read the questions and identify the keywords. 3. Scan the text for the keywords. Then, read the surrounding text to check if it provides relevant information. 4. Now answer the questions based on your understanding. Let's practice. Read the following factual passage and answer the questions that follow. Let's recap. A factual or non-fictional text is composed of facts. It gives us information about the topic under discussion. Images, keywords, glossary, and subheadings are some features of non-fiction texts. Description, recount, information report, procedure, and explanation are some common forms of non-fiction texts. To answer the questions based on a non-fiction text, we skim the passage to understand its overview or main idea. Read the questions and identify the keywords. Scan the text for keywords. Then read the surrounding text to check if it provides relevant information. Answer the questions based on our understanding.